We ready? All right. So we got us a little song for you, class. We've already been talking about the socialization of coffee. So, coffee made it out to Western Europe in the 17th century. Okay, so we've already explored how coffee traveled from Ethiopia to France, and from France to the surrounding countries in Europe. Today we're going to talk about the social implications of coffee and how it has created its own coffee culture. At the end of the lesson, I'm going to have each of you write your own song or poem, just like I did for you today. So, without further ado, let's talk about coffee. So, for today's lesson, all cheesiness aside, you will need pencil or pen and a handout, which I have got right here. So, here are those. Okay. So, what we already did was our music-guided motivation in my example of a coffee song. So, today's goal is to be able to demonstrate and understand cities, movements of people, and the vitality of coffee as a commodity. So, to understand coffee, it's important to understand how it took hold in Europe. So most people consumed beer or cheese soup for breakfast before the emergence of coffee in the 17th century. People generally worked slower and typically consumed in the middle class. Coffee was later introduced as a medicine before a beverage due to its ability to due to its excitatory effects. Now, do you know what I mean when I say excitatory effects? Saying yes, I'm saying no. So, excitatory effects, and this is what coffee is mostly known for, is increasing your heart rate and causing sort of a high energy rush. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, and that's why it was often referred to as a speed drink. It made people more productive and was often credited to contributing to the Enlightenment. So, we're going to examine the differences between coffee culture then and coffee culture now. Now, coffee culture is not a monoculture, and by that I mean it has developed distinctly across the world in its own ways. And some are similar and some are very different. And it's important to understand that there were slow cultural adaptations because, as we've examined in previous lessons, there's been severe social repercussions and social backlash or political backlash against coffee, as in the example of banning. So we're going to examine some of the different coffee cultures around the world. For example, Cairo and Istanbul. Women cannot attend coffee houses. In England, women were even excluded from drinking coffee. In Amsterdam and France, they adopted a modern understanding of coffee houses. So we can see as a class that over time, these coffee cultures developed in their own ways, but still developed similar exclusions. Can anybody tell me what that same exclusion is? Women? Why do you think that is? Okay, let's break this down now. So, as we examined in the past slide, coffee was often seen to make people more productive. So, in that same way, women were excluded because they weren't often given the responsibility to have work. So, we can see in this way, coffee culture was a way of establishing social roles, as evidenced in both England and Cairo and Istanbul. So, I want you all to write your own song or poem from what you learned today in today's lesson about the different coffee cultures and how they developed around the world. So, turning on the lights. Yes, we can develop the song together, or we can develop it independently. Okay, let's do this as a class collaboration. Okay. So what do we think are the important points of copy culture as they've developed across the world in the social elements of copy culture?
It makes you productive.
It does. We examined how copy makes people productive. So we could write a line in our song or our poem about how copy makes us productive. I can do it for us. Let's see. Okay, so we've already established that coffee was drank or was consumed for the purposes of productivity. So, coffee for productivity. Okay. So what else did we examine? We examined some of the social implications. So, we talked about how this was a reflection of the dominant culture's expectations. So what could be a lyric we could, or a line that we could use to address this? Well, it is difficult. It requires you to think a little outside of the box. Okay. So I'll just put down reflection of dominant culture. So, now let's think of a way to make this flow a little better together. Because we're not quite wordsmiths yet.